Whenever corruption is spoken about, the first thing people think about is the police, and especially traffic police. And when I try to talk, there are some people who even tell me that I'm trying to justify them. Mine is just brief. Mine is to tell the historical facts. Now, if someone were to tell you that at your shamba, somebody used this gap to enter your shamba and steal, and this is whatever. And when he entered your shamba, he saw it is better to carry a sack full of avocados other than a sack full of maize. I'm not justifying. I am only telling what happened. Police officers, especially traffic, are the least corrupt people. Whatever they get is very little, and everybody looks at them that way. No, I'm not talking about it because I'm a former police officer. I'm not talking about it because I used to be, hey, I hope one day my book comes out. I've talked about how I used to do funny things at the roadblock. Mine is not to hide. By the way, when I tell you something, I'm not glorifying the issue or whatever. I'm only enlightening. It is not my duty. Actually, that is the training of NIS. NIS don't form opinions. They just tell you the way things are. Then they tell you, then it is for you to decide what to do. So I'm not talking as a former corrupt roadblock officer. I'm not talking as a former police officer. I'm not talking about as somebody whose father was a senior traffic police officer. Actually, my father and Raffles are the ones who transferred traffic police headquarters from Kenyatta Hospital all the way to Ruaraka. I'm not talking in that capacity. But sincerely, I'm just telling what happened. Because if I keep quiet, I think that is, by keeping quiet is when I'll be glorifying that and I'll be covering that. You find that even within the police force or police service, traffic is the least corrupt. Why am I saying traffic is the least corrupt? They collect 50 shillings, 50 shillings. Let me give you an example. And it is contained in my book. There is a policeman who was related to a senior police officer called Matalanga. Now, this nephew of Matalanga used to work in a section called SPIF. And those days it was illegal for you to be found with foreign currencies. And SPIF used to make a lot of money. They could make in a day more money than a traffic officer can make in a month. Take another example of crime branch officers. In our slums, Kibera, Mathare, Kawangware, mention it. By the time it reaches 3 p.m., he has gone round kwa hiyo mama pima, everything. And he has collected more than what a traffic officer can collect. And you see traffic are sitting ducks. Now, EACC requested Japheth Koome that henceforth traffic officers should not carry guns. Maybe that young boy called Ian knew that, because what Ian did, and if the traffic police officer had a gun and killed Ian, there would be no case. And again, what section of the law talks that, you see, in police, it is upon any police officer, from constable to inspector general, to determine what type of firearm he needs for such and such an operation. You tell him, you're supposed to do this and this. he determines whether or not to carry a firearm, and if he has to carry a firearm, which type of firearm will he carry. So this thing of saying from now henceforth, traffic officers should not carry firearms, that is an illegal order, and that is an order that should not be observed. But you see, police service being a disciplined service, they will just not carry guns. And then turning to anti-corruption people, when a lot of people turn to them and say, hey, there's so much corruption happening, then they'll go to a roadblock, mount cameras, and wait for a traffic police officer to get 50 shillings. There is another question people ask. Why should Anti-Corruption Commission use 100,000 shillings to nab a traffic police officer who has 300 shillings in his pocket? Let me not talk. But then, I'm not supposed to talk too much on traffic, isn't it? I'm supposed to talk about police. Look at other departments. You go to the hospital, you are told the drugs that we have here, but we have a chemist here with better drugs and whatever. So would you want us to prescribe these ones, or we prescribe you go there? And you know that chemist belongs to that doctor. Nobody talks about that. And nobody talks about when your kid wants to join Form 1 in a good school. There are so many things we talk about. You go to the chief's place, you want an ID. The chief is supposed to give you a letter so that you get an ID. You go to any government, nobody's talking about it. Even the police itself are just given an example. But then, how do these people fail? How do they fail? Whatever. I can tell you the answer lies in Kiganjo. The answer lies in Kiganjo. I have studied cases where police officers have been arrested for corruption. You know what? It gives the police a very bad name. Imagine with all those drama, with those cameras, with those whatever, and then the police officer is found to be having at most 5,000 shillings. I can tell you, they say that the 13 what law, which says everything that is to go wrong goes wrong. It becomes problematic, and I'll tell you, where at the day when you are looking for a bribe, at the day where you really want money, is the day that you are caught, and you are caught with very little money. But the day when you are not looking for money, whatever, and the day you look for a big bribe, they don't come. So it ends up in a situation where, while we go around, people saying, you are nyi wajinga sana. Sasa, a whole inspector of police ameshikwa na bribe ya 2,000 shillings. I'll tell you. And it started in Kiganjo. It starts in Kiganjo. You know, any educational institution has a syllabus where they say today, on Monday we are going to study G, on Tuesday H, Wednesday I, that way. And you'll find that some lessons, they decide that a certain topic will be covered in 2 days, in 2 lessons, such and such. But you may find that a certain teacher and a certain class, they get some things very quickly. And a certain teacher with a certain class, with the same class, they don't get things quickly. So you find that you may be given a lesson for 2 hours, to cover for 2 hours, and then you find that you have covered it in 45 minutes. The teacher repeats it twice and finds everybody has covered it. That is 15 minutes. So it's something that you are supposed to taught for 2 hours. You have been taught twice in 1 hour. Now you have 1 hour to idle. The teacher now asks you to go and refer to any topic that you may have covered in the past which you found to be hard to cover. So you'll repeat other lessons that you covered and went through because of time. You see, the teacher even decides that this thing of 2 hours, even if you are to be taught for 3 hours, you will still not catch up. So he just passes that. That is the time when you have been taught easy things and you have a lot of time, free time, you cover that. So you cover that and you still understand that. You may find that your mathematics teacher is hard, but you are in good terms with the physics teacher. I'm only giving an example. Then when the physics teacher has covered the program, has repeated it twice, and again has repeated the past which you don't know, you even say, okay, Mwalimu, we know you are not in maths, but can you teach this as? And then you find even at times you have even covered that. That is now when the teacher moves away from the blackboard. I don't know whether they think that the blackboard there is a hidden microphone, and goes to the back desk there. When he's at the back desk, that is when he now turns to you and says, between me and you, now whatever you'll be taught there, especially on bribery, if you have forgotten it, if you don't observe it, I'm telling you, those are the people who are arrested. And some of the things we were taught, because if I look at my former colleagues who were caught being bribed, mostly they have forgotten what the teacher taught at the back of the classroom. What the teacher taught while he was at the back of the classroom was something like this. 1, you know, those days police officers did not have bank accounts. Those days police officers used to sign a voucher. A book, a big book. You sign against your name. You sign against your name, and you are given money. So you find that a day before being paid, you are very broke. You get information. Money is needed somewhere. Money is needed today because something cheap has been found, so you have to buy. Or you have a sick patient you want to take to hospital. You have A, B, C, D. That is the wrong time to ask for a bribe, because some people just leave. He says, I'd rather you go and seek for a loan. Just go and seek for a loan which you'll pay after 2 days. So you find that is when somebody even looks for a bribe na kifua. There is a person smartly dressed. I'll not talk about them because somebody will say I'm against a certain tribe. There are some people who are smartly dressed, but in their pocket they are broke. So you find somebody having committed a small offense, which is called a misdemeanor, and you look at him, unaona, this one, if I tell him I've arrested him, he would give me 1,000 shillings. After you have thought that, then you go ahead and ask him for 1,000 shillings. Only to find that even if you would have asked him for 50 shillings, he would not have given you, simply because he does not have anything on him. Or you may find that you may ask him, depending on what offense he is suspected of. It may be a big mistake, and to tell him, give me 5,000, but you check in his pocket and find he has 500. Take that 500. Take that 500. But you see, tamaa ya fisi, somebody says, unaona hii makosa nimekushtakia. Sasa hii makosa siwezi kubali 500. Utaongeza. The fellow says, okay, Kama unataka you talk, you say okay, kesho nitakuletea 4,000. 4,000 na nimekuachilia. Ete 5,000. The fellow will go out there, get wise people, either a lawyer or a police officer. By a police officer, I mean either a serving officer or even an ex-police officer like me. Now that is when the person will be given treated money. That is when the person will be given treated money. So you are waiting for the 5,000 instead of taking the 500 and going. And remember, ukiitisha umeitisha. If you ask for something, maybe 5,000, and you find he has 500 shillings, or even nothing, don't take him to the police station. That police cell has a lot of clever people, even remand place. It will cost you. So I said ukiitisha umeitisha. There is a company, Mabati company, which says ukiweka umeweka. Ukiitisha umeitisha. Even if he has very little or he has nothing, please, ukiitisha, don't demand something. Let's say 10,000 and you find he has nothing, and then take him. Once umeitisha. And that one now comes to explain the good cop, bad cop. You know, by nature, police officers work 2 or more. It is very rare, unless it is a detective, it is very rare to find constables working or doing something alone, unless it is a case that he is dealing. But patrols, there are 2. And then somebody has ever asked me, why do we have good cop and bad cop? This is a very clever thing. It is not just in Kenya, but it is worldwide. Good cop, they look at you. Because with the experience, we have discovered that you may look at somebody and think he has money, but he has no money. So what happens is, and you don't know, 2 people are equal. Even if you are talkatives, there is one who talks more than the other. So you find that even if you are harsh police officers, one is harsher than the other. Or if you are soft police officers, one is softer than the other. So one will automatically play bad cop and the other one will play good cop. So the bad cop will arrest you and frog march you, and then the good cop will ask the other bad, huyu mjamaa ni mungwana, don't take action against him, sijui nini nini. And then the good cop will try to talk to you. Why don't you give my friend something? You see, makosa umefanya ni kubwa sana, patia my friend something. This is a style to check, so that should you turn out, as I've just said, that some people, when you decide to ask for a bribe, there is no way you are going to be taken to the station. So the good cop, the bad cop arrests you and takes you, pretends to be taking you to the police station. And then the good cop will call you aside and call him aside. First of all, he tell the bad cop, wachilia huyu, sijui nini nini, hata nitamuongelesha akupatie kitu. Akupatie. Not atupatie, akupatie. Then he'll call you aside and tell you, sumpe tu yu kitu kidogo unini. So he negotiates and assesses you. That is why we usually have the good and the bad, so that they have both sides. That is why they have a good and a bad one, and that is why he suggests a bribe, and then they make it's easier that way to decide either to take you to cell or not. Another thing that people do, police people don't know, is that there is an unspoken word within the police services. You go to a police station, you do your work diligently, you find that you are assigned duties that you don't come into contact with the bribes. But another person, another cop, is assigned the same place and he knows what to do. He gives the sergeant major something, or if he's working in the crime, roadblock, or even spiff, these lucrative departments, after getting something reasonable, he shares it with the major and the officer in charge of that department. That way, you'll find somebody ending up in that good formation. But if you say my salary is mine and my wife and kids, you'll just be assigned a report office where you never get anything extra. I felt that I should share this with you sincerely, because some people, and I want to tell my viewers, is that as an NIS officer, mine is not to justify or anything. Mine is to tell you what happened. Thank you.